national.
Alright, so I'll start to read there, so I'm just screaming all around.
That's grand.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, hello, good evening and welcome to Carramore for the quarter-finals of the Egan Jewellers Mayo Intermediate Football Championship, a game that for many people has been billed as match of the day as two of the intermediate title contenders go head-to-head. Let's take a quick check on the teams before we get underway. Beginning with Hollymount Carramore, no major surprise to see number 24 Kevin Fearick starts at centre forward in place of 11 Jack Kane, a similar switch in the third round defeat to Ballinrobe. And for Moy Davitts, well, they line out as selected in the match programme. They are putting out an extremely strong first 15, particularly up front with last year's Mayo minor star forward Ronan Clark wearing number 13. Keep an eye out for him. And their top scorer, Cian McHale, wears 11 and leads the attack. We'll fill you in on the other permutations and combinations as the evening progresses. As you will have seen and guessed already, it's wet, it's windy, it's overcast. We're in Carramore in the heart of East Mayo, and it is Moy Davitts wearing predominantly red with white shorts against Hollymount Carramore wearing their regular colours of white, blue and yellow. Away we go. A place in the county intermediate semi-final up for grabs. I'll bring in Cormac Rowland, our co-commentator, very shortly. But Shane Corcoran has got the game underway. Moy Davitts on the attack. An early touch for Brian Reap. He was being pushed, and Shane Corcoran has given a free in to Moy Davitts and a chance for Brian Reap to kick his team out in front. It's a repeat of the 2019 senior relegation final. Moy Davitts sent Hollymount Carramore down to intermediate 4 years ago, and Brian Reap has kicked Moy Davitts out in front here inside the first 90 seconds. Now there's a Moy Davitts man down about 55 metres from goal. Not quite sure how he got there, Cormac Rowland. It's been quite an action-packed first 90 seconds.
It definitely has. It's been very, very open. Ronan Clark pulled out into the half-forward line there, came deep for the ball, and he wasn't tracked, and he played a nice ball into Brian Reap. I see Brian Reap has been taken by Stephen Cohen, so obviously they're looking at him as the main man. But the games I've seen so far this year with Moy Davitts, Brian Heenahan has done a lot of the damage, and I see Dara Ruan has gone in onto Dylan Morris inside in the full-back line.
Man who's down is Cian McHale. He, of course, is Moy Davitts' top scorer. Nearest Hollymount Carramore man to him right now is Declan Fearick. Flew in from Dubai yesterday to line out at the heart of the Hollymount Carramore defence. His brother Liam misses out through injury this evening. We wish him well. Picked up quite a serious injury against Ballinrobe a couple of weeks ago and has been ruled out. And ironically, another of the Fearick brothers, Porrick, also out injured this evening. So Declan and Kevin start. Liam and Porrick sidelined through injury. And Cian McHale taking quite a while to get back to his feet, Cormac. He obviously took quite a belt, whether it was intentional or otherwise, but good to see him back up and good to go.
Yeah, and he's meting out a bit of retribution there, I see, as he went back. I think he got a little bit of a belt, but look, it's all a championship football.
Well, an example there of the very tricky conditions, slippery underfoot conditions already. That kick out just shooting like a bullet off the grass and away from Nathan Moran, and it allows Moy Davitts to keep the pressure on. Brian Reap looking for Brian Heenahan. It's going to be very difficult, though, to win possession cleanly. It is a backs evening here in Carramore. That was Michael Sheridan, the midfielder, getting his hands dirty for Hollymount Carramore and winning the free, and away goes Robert Malloy. Man outside up in support is Dylan Jennings. His father Ardle won intermediate and senior championship medals with Hollymount back in the day. Gooch Fearick plays this one down into the corner as Hollymount Carramore just got things too tight. Ball turned over. Nice layoff from Tig Ruan, and here's Cian McHale. Exciting young forward. Really good soccer player as well with SNF United. Towards Brian Heenahan. For years now he's been leading that Moy Davitts attack. Heenahan double teamed by Joe Lydon and Stephen Conroy. And between the student and the teacher, Conroy and Lydon, they've given away a free foul on Brian Heenahan. And maybe, Cormac, a good chance or an opportune time to talk about the conditions and just how difficult it is here in Ahamore and what kind of an impact it'll have on the game.
Yeah, well, look, like it's there's been a drizzle all day, so like the pitch itself is going to be quite greasy. You know, it's going to cut up. It's going to be very, very difficult. There's going to be lots of turnovers. There's going to be lots of mistakes. Hollymount so far don't look like they're playing with a sweeper. Connery got the ball inside very well, so hopefully it'll be a good open game. It's definitely started at a good pace.
Cian McHale dropping this free in, just pushed away more than anything by Niall Campbell. Campbell back in goal for Hollymount Carramore this evening, rested for the Ballinrobe match, and Nathan Moran, the goalie as they call him, to distinguish him from Nathan Moran, the midfielder, is back on the bench as the ball is lost in the tackle by the Hollymount Carramore 23. That's Conor Geraghty, who a late inclusion in the team. Chance for Moy Davitts, chance for Brian Reap. That's brilliant from Brian Reap, the man who played minor, under 21 and senior with Mayo. In fact, won an All-Ireland minor medal 10 years ago. Kicks his second, Moy Davitts' second, and they go 2 up.
That's a very good score. That'll fill them with a lot of confidence, with a lot of gusto to turn the ball over on the opposition on the 45-metre line, get the ball away. You can see they have good ball players up in the forward line. There was good intricate play, good cohesion amongst each other, got it to the right man, and a great score.
Kick out for Niall Campbell, held up in the wind. Underneath it is Michael Sheridan, jumping with Nathan Moran. I think they may have gotten each other's way there. Cian McHale to Brian Heenahan. Moy Davitts' attack so dangerous. Regardless of the conditions, Heenahan, the angle was getting tighter and tighter, and that flashes away to the right and wide. Well, wherever you're watching the game this evening on Mayo GATV, I can only assume you're warmer, drier and more comfortable than we are. Real wintry conditions here for the quarter-finals of the Mayo Intermediate Club Championship, and Ahamore has not escaped on this Saturday evening. Niall Campbell weighing up his options. Moy Davitts trying to close off as many of them as possible. Opts for the right wing. Ball breaks again towards the Moy Davitts man. They're cleaning up on breaks in the first few minutes as Oisin McHugh tries to drive Moy Davitts forward. Support outside from Cathal Clark. Clark hears the call from behind him of Oisin Quinn, and the experienced centre-back keeps it simple and gives it out to the right-hand side to Anthony Jordan, man who made his debut back in 2010 as a 16-year-old against Castlebar Mitchells, shoots this chance high and wide. 2 wides in a row for Moy Davitts, who, Cormac, by and large, have been camped inside Hollymount Carramore's half.
Yeah, so far they'll be delighted. They're very much on the front foot. Pádraig Ruan is pushing in on Stephen Cohen for the kickouts. Ronan Clark has gone out to wing forward. They're getting great joy on breaking ball. Just on Anthony Jordan there, I think a little bit more composure. They have the best of the game so far. They need to reflect it on the scoreboard. Just
to confirm that second Hollymount Carramore change, 23 Conor Geraghty starts in the half-back line in place of 7 Oisin Gill, the experienced Oisin Gill kept in reserve. Free one by Dylan Jennings, gives it down the line to Robert Malloy, and away he goes. He's under pressure from Oisin Quinn, and that pressure tells, and that attack is just held up. Now, ball is in the hands of Matthew Morris. Along with his brother Dylan, they make a deadly duo. That ball spinning in the air, gathered by Chris McGlenn, the veteran Moy Davitts goalkeeper. And as always, he's cool, he's calm, he's composed, and he gets the ball out as far as Oisin McHugh. Well, you can see how the wind is posing problems for Hollymount Carramore already, Cormac.
Definitely. You need to get that ball in around the 20-metre line, maybe 25 metres out to get a shot away. I think they need to just be a little bit more controlled and a little bit more composed. They're playing at 100 miles an hour. Look, they're not. They could lose this game in the first 10-15 minutes, but they could stay. If they're composed, they can stay in it.
Hollymount Carramore back on the ball. Darren Cohn just so it slipped through his fingers. Robert Malloy couldn't get down to win it either, and it's scooped away by Moy Davitts, and the counter-attack is now very much on. Cian McHale takes a touch, looks around, McHale backs himself, and Cian McHale, a man on fire, extends the Moy Davitts lead out to 3. He's been outstanding all season, and he's just pushed Moy Davitts a little further in front.
Yeah, very good score. I've been looking a lot at the club championship, Mike. He's one of the best left foots I've seen. He's a very, very good point kicker. He got the ball, soloed off his right, steadied himself, slotted a great score.
Well, he's a nephew of the former Mayo footballer Gary Ruan. He's now kicked 214 in this intermediate championship, and he is very much one to watch. Line ball to Moy Davitts. Player had stepped out across the line, and it's going to be a hop ball, I think. Shane Corcoran is just indicating he's going to hop this. Technical foul by Moy Davitts, and now he's looking for two men to step up. It's Conor Reid and Nathan Moran. Conor Reid goes barreling into Nathan Moran, and that was the easiest free, Cormac, that Shane Corcoran will have to give this evening.
Well, I'd say definitely. Once the hands came around the midriff and the push happened, there was only going to be one outcome.
We're heading towards the 10th minute as darkness starts to roll in over Ahamore. We're watching the Egan Jewellers Mayo Intermediate Championship quarter-final between two teams that would fancy their chances of going all the way in this competition. But this evening, one of them will bow out one way or the other. Extra time and penalties if required as Hollymount Carramore run down a blind alley. Ball turned over by Anthony Jordan. Drills it out the field as far as Brian Heenahan. Really good ball. Splits the Hollymount Carramore defence open. Heenahan has options. One of them is Conor Reid charging down along this right hand side. Cian McHale wants it, gets it, lovely dummy, and across to cover came Declan Fearick to block down the intended hand pass come fisted effort towards goal by Cian McHale. That's gone out for a 45. Really good defending by Declan Fearick.
It was really good defending, Mike. It was last gasp defending. I think Hollymount, as I was saying there a minute ago, I think they need to settle down a bit. They're a bit jittery on the ball. They're turning the ball over quickly. Moy Davitts are attacking at pace. Brian Heenan got on that ball. Again, his decision making was very good. A lot of players might have taken on a wild shot, got it to the player in the better position. They should have came away with a score.
Really good defending by Declan Fearick as well, when you consider he only stepped off a plane from Dubai yesterday. 45 is taken short. Cian McHale, oh, that's beautiful. It's curling, it's close, and it's given. Oh, that is top drawer scoring and shooting from Cian McHale. 2 for him, 4 for Moy Davitts.
He's really up for it, Mike. You can see in his body language off the ball after he's kicked the ball. He's up in Declan Fearick's face straight away. That belt he got early doors probably woke him up. He's up for it. He's a really, really good kicker of the ball. They're going to have to get tighter and make sure he can't get turned.
Well, we're watching a Hollymount Carramore team here that hit 16 points from play against Burrishoole a few weeks ago. 210 against Ballinrobe a fortnight ago from play out of a total of 211, and yet Cormac, they have literally had one shot on goal in the first 11 minutes here.
Yeah, I think an awful lot of it, Mike, as you were saying earlier, is emanating from their own kick-out. I think they might have to go to a set-piece kick-out. They're not winning anything. They might have this one now, but that's the first one they've won.
Well, the pressure is on Michael Sheridan. Pressure coming from Anthony Jordan. Jordan just a little too over-eager. Now there's a Moy Davitts man down, Oisin Quinn, and he looks to be in some discomfort. Hollymount Carramore tried to take a quick free, and there's been a foul committed, and they're going to have a shot at goal from Darren Cohn. But the concern for Moy Davitts is around Oisin Quinn, man who did his cruciate back at the end of the 2017 season. He's up again, good to go, as Darren Cohn stands over this free. 13 points he's kicked so far in the championship, 9 from play, and he's up to 14. Nice, straightforward free for Darren Cohn to open his account. It's taken Hollymount Carramore 12 minutes to get up and running.
Yeah, and they badly needed that score. I think the next 5 or 6 minutes are key. I think they need to play this game in Moy Davitts' half for the next few minutes.
A long kick out from Chris McGlynn. Hollymount Carramore had the press on. Fierce battle for possession between Robert Malloy and Cathal Clark. Loose ball squirts out on the Hollymount Carramore side, and it's won by Darren Cohn. He's been outstanding in the last few weeks. Wears 14, but can do a job at centre forward. And right now he's standing about 55 metres from the Moy Davitts goal. Hollymount Carramore go backwards to come forwards. It's Joel Lydon, the corner back, under pressure from Brian Reip, who looks like a man who hasn't missed too many gym sessions this winter. Brian Reip piece. Togs extremely big and strong. He put the pressure on. Another free to Hollymount Carramore. Stephen Cohen had his hands full with Kevin Quinn a few weeks ago against Ballinrobe. Quinn taking Cohen for 4 points from play. Stephen Cohen playing a different game this evening. Not restricted to man-marking duties in the full back line. Free instead to join the Hollymount Carramore attack when needed. Declan Fearick involved again. Support from Darren Cohn. Moy Davitts have brought 14 men back behind the ball as Cohn tries to give it to the runner, Nathan Moran. Bottled up, no way through, and they're driven back out again. and they're pretty much back at square one, Cormac.
They are. They're not penetrating at all. But I do think it's key for them just to retain that composure, and maybe if they have to play on the periphery for the next few minutes, take the sting out of this game. It may not be what people want to see or what people want to look at, but at the same time, playing against this breeze in these conditions, it's probably the most effective way they can get into half-time.
Well, we're watching two teams here that were playing senior football not that long ago. Hollymount Carramore, intermediate champions 2015. Mayo Davitts, intermediate champions 2017. Nice ball from Stephen Cohn to the Gooch. Gooch Fearick claims the mark, takes it quickly, kicks it in towards Dylan Morris. Big, strong man. Fists it back as far as Stephen Cohn to Kevin Fearick again. He's a great man to find space, but in any event, off the ball, Dylan Morris was being held right in front of Shane Corcoran. Cheap free for Mayo Davitts to give away, and a chance for Hollymount Carramore to edge a little closer.
Yeah, and within the context of the game, Mike, it won't be a huge reflection on Mayo Davitts' dominance if Darren kicks this over the bar. Mayo Davitts will be very, very happy to be only 2 points down after Mayo Davitts having the best of the first 14-15 minutes.
Kilmeada leading Park 110-19 in one of the other quarter-finals here in Ahamore. All eyes on Darren Cohn. Well, he's such a beautiful striker of a ball. And again, you've done plenty of free taking and place kicking in your time, Cormac. These conditions, they make it all that bit more difficult. But Cohn is playing so well and striking the ball so well.
Oh yeah, to be honest, Mike, playing in these conditions, no free is a gimme, and just his striking action and the comfortability how he addresses the ball. He just is a very, very good kicker.
2 points for Hollymount Carramore, 2 frees for Darren Cohn as Mayo Davitts go along at the other end. The spearhead of the attack, Brian Heenahan, he was the only man up there. He's not going to get there. Too much on the pass, and as soon as the ball hits the surface here this evening, it's gone. As Niall Campbell gets a second, O'Neill's ready quickly and tries to get the quick kick out away. He's looking for Dylan Jennings, jumping with Oisin McHugh, and that ball last touched the Hollymount Carramore man. Line ball to Mayo Davitts. This time Oisin McHugh does not step across the line, gives it down to Brian Heenahan. He's feeling the pressure from Stephen Conroy. Ball recycled to Conall Quinn. He will be 42 years of age in February, the Mayo Davitts cornerback, and he is in the shape of his life as Conor Reid attacks right down the middle. Exciting young player, played under 20 with Mayo in recent seasons. Now it's Hollymount Carramore's turn to block things up. Cian McHale gives it back as far as Oisin Quinn. Quinn has to knock it back towards his own goal for a moment as Cian McHale gets on the ball. He's tackled high, and that, I think, will be a free to Mayo Davitts. But once Hollymount Carramore are out of possession, they are very quick to get their defence set. Quick free to Conor Reid. He has the strength and the pace to get by the centre-back Declan Fearick. Can he find the finish? Not on this occasion. That shot flies well wide of the goal. Better from the Hollymount Carramore defence.
Yeah, they're definitely getting up in Mayo Davitts' face a little bit more, and they're slowing the transition a lot better in the last 5 or 6 minutes. They've got a foothold in the game now. They're having a little bit more of a say. They had a dodgy first 10 minutes, but they're back in it.
That voice you can hear in the background is the distinctive voice of the Hollymount Carramore manager, Tom Kennelly, as the Hollymount Carramore lose the kick out. Anthony Jordan to Brian Heenahan. They're in! Goal for Mayo Davitts. Wide. It flashes just wide. Well, it looked like it had gone under Niall Campbell and into the back of the net. It flashed just wide of that far post. Well, if I thought it was in from here, I can only imagine what the Mayo Davitts crowd thought on the far side. Oh, so close, Cormac.
Yeah, it looked for all the world. It was nestling in the bottom corner. But again, Mike, as you've been saying, it's all coming off Hollymount's own kick out. They're going to have to work something, or Nathan Moran is definitely going to get up in the air and win a ball here.
Brian Heenahan looking to get in for his 3rd goal of the championship, and from that sort of range, from that distance, point blank range, well, 9 times out of 10 he sticks it in the net. But this was the rare occasion, and Hollymount Carramore get off the hook as Darren Cohn tries to slip it through to Dylan Morris. Goal chance at the other end. Shot was always rising, and it flies away to the right and wide. Well, he's already scored 2 goals in this championship. I think he's claiming a 45. That last touched a Mayo Davitts defender, but nothing doing. And it was no more than a half chance, but he should have got at least a point.
Yeah, I think, Mike, in the context of the game, he should have came away, just tapped it over the bar. He was a long distance out. It's a difficult day to get a decent strike on the ball. Just work the scoreboard, settle down and win the next kick out and play up in that half of the pitch.
Brian Heenahan again, he's the furthest Moy Davitts man forward. Lovely ball in towards Brian Reap. Good hands. And Reap shows his quality and class and finisher's instinct to fire that up and over the bar. That is a third point for Brian Reap. 3 for him, 2 for Cian McHale, 5 for Moy Davitts.
You can definitely see, Mike, the natural footballers Moy Davitts have up top, the cohesion in their play, like Ronan Clarke, the way to pass there into Brian Reap. It just bet the defender, fell into Reap's hand, and there was a smell of a goal on, but he worked the scoreboard, came away with a point.
Well, Hollymount Carramore only conceded 1 goal in the 3 group games. That came late on against Ballinrobe in their last match. But they have been opened up a few times here in the first quarter. Now, that was an awkward and a sore-looking challenge on Kevin Fearick. Just took a hand to the face, and he's going to need treatment. Now, Kevin Fearick will be hoping that everything is where it should be when he's checked out by the physio, because he's missed so much football. In fact, didn't play a minute of football in 2021 or indeed 2022 as he made his way back from a very serious ankle injury. And in fact, his start against Ballinrobe 2 weeks ago, his first start since 2020. But great to see him back, fit, good to go. Really good footballer. And just still being checked out by the Hollymount Carramore physio after that nasty blow to the head. So, Cormac, a chance for us after 19 and a half minutes just to take stock, grab a breath. 5 points to 2 to Moy Davitts. Probably a fair enough reflection.
Yeah, I think so. I think Moy Davitts have had the best of the game. They've really made hay on the Hollymount kick-out. You can see they have that little bit of electricity up top in their forward line. But in saying that, Hollymount have steadied in the last 5 or 6 minutes, and they've begun to work the scoreboard themselves.
Ball is in the hands again of Dylan Morris. He and his brother Matthew, they are very hard to handle, particularly when conditions are like this. And somebody in a Moy Davitts jersey has spoken out of turn to Shane Corcoran, and anyone who knows the Corcorans know they do not tolerate backchat, and that ball has been brought in right in front of goal to make it even easier for Darren Cohn. But Dylan Morris getting more and more involved.
Definitely, you can see they're struggling to handle him. He's big, he's physical, he's direct. Dara Ruan went back to mark him. He'd a shot off for a goal. That's the second free he's won. This is about to be their third score, and he's had a direct contribution to 2 of them. So again, they're working the scoreboard. They're getting up there. They're staying alive. They're staying in the game, and Darren Cohn will kick these all day.
So 3 points from frees for Darren Cohn. He's up to 16 points now for the championship. Got engaged recently. Looks like a man who's enjoying his football. And of course, so much inter-county experience that he brings to this Hollymount Carramore attack. As Chris McGlynn goes down the middle, it's punched down by a Hollymount Carramore fist defiantly back towards the Moy Davitts half of the field, and Hollymount Carramore have secured possession. They try and attack down this left-hand side. Again, it's Dylan Morris trying to make inroads, support from Dylan Jennings. And now Robert Malloy trying to slip it through the gap, but well read by Dara Ruan, who's come back from Australia in the last few weeks to reclaim his place in the Moy Davitts half back line. Took a heavy hit there as he played the pass, Dara Ruan, but he's all there. He hops up fairly quickly. He is one of the best conditioned Moy Davitts players out there, and that's saying something. They are an extremely athletic, powerful team, and one of those men is Conor Reid to Brian Heenahan. Heenahan, nimble footwork, shot half blocked, and that took the sting out of it, and it's gathered by Niall Campbell. Moy Davitts not quite as efficient as they were in the first 10 minutes as Robert Malloy leaves this off to Enda Maloney. He's tackled and fouled, and Hollymount Carramore have a free. Considering the conditions, Cormac, and that constant rain we've had all evening, the game is being played at a very high intensity and at a very quick pace.
It has. It's been a very, very enjoyable game, Mike. It's not so much lateral or passive stuff. It's real aggressive going at the opposition.
Kevin Fearick doing just that, gives it to Dylan Morris. There were a couple of big hits in this Hollymount Carramore attack. It would be a big score if they could manufacture one, but they've had the ball stripped from their possession. It was that man, Conall Quinn, the 41-year-old cornerback who was in the thick of it, and now it's Anthony Jordan to carry it clear. Anthony will let Cathal Clarke, I think, take over and do the heavy lifting, as it were. Back to Jordan, inside to Ronan Clarke. We've seen so little of the former Mayo minor in the first 20 minutes, but got on the ball there. Now Brian Heenahan, and Moy Davitts will recycle, hold the ball, and wait for the opening to present itself. Maybe it'll open up here for Oisin McHugh. Hollymount Carramore protecting the D. 5 or 6 defenders in around the ball carrier. One of them was Declan Fearick, and the man who scored a point against Kiltane in round 1 breaks up this Moy Davitts attack. Plenty of space down at the other end for Dylan Morris to try and work with. He's got Dara Ruan for company. Manages to play the pass to Kevin Fearick. That would have been a lovely chip lift, but it just spun up too high, up into Cian McHale's hands, and McHale plays a lovely ball down the wing to Brian Reap. Reap after it. Referee has blown his whistle. He spotted a foul after the ball had been kicked by Cian McHale, and he's going to bring back the guilty party. That's Enda Maloney for a word. Well, now the question is, Cormac, was that a black card offence? Was it a deliberate body collide? Because if that's the way Shane Corcoran saw it, Hollymount Carramore down to 14 players.
Yeah. Well, I think oftentimes those ones off the ball when somebody goes to ground, you are in black card territory when those happen. He's lucky.
Yellow for Enda Maloney. Hollymount Carramore will have the full complement from here to the break. Just for a moment there, looked like they may have bigger worries, but Enda Maloney booked, and Cian McHale will take a free from where the ball landed. We're in the 25th minute of the first half. Moy Davitts leading as they have done since the opening minute. At the moment, they're 2 to the good. Cian McHale, he'll back himself to shoot here. He's extremely accurate. That is some kick and some score from Cian McHale. He is putting on a masterclass of shooting. 3 points, all from play, as good as you'll see anywhere this weekend.
Oh yeah, he's a beautiful striker of the ball. Like, he got it onto the far post, didn't overhit the ball, didn't try and do too much with it, just got it up on the breeze with his instep and stroked it straight over the bar.
Well, his uncle Gary was a left footer as well, but I don't ever remember Gary Ruan kicking scores like that, as Colm McHale, Cian's brother, grabs the kick out. They've both played in the green and red of Mayo at underage. Nice ball from Colm McHale to Brian Heenahan. Moy Davitts, their combination play, very impressive. And Brian Heenahan runs hard at the Hollymount Carramore defence and wins himself another free. Well, the threats are coming from everywhere and anywhere.
They are. Like, Heenahan hasn't got on the scoreboard, but he's very honest. He's running the line there, winning ball. He's willing to go at his man when he wins it as well. Just as what you were saying about Colm McHale there as well. Even though he's playing in the half-back line, he's a very kind of comfortable. He reminds you of Kevin McLaughlin in the way that he's very comfortable how he caresses the ball. Very good kick passer. Great way to pass for the ball inside. Moy Davitts, as I said, have a lot of natural ball players. They've had a lot of success at underage in the last number of years, and you can see that out here today, the way that they play together.
Moy Davitts, of course, lost a county semi-final last year to Kilmina after beating Louisburg in the quarter-finals, despite lining out that day without the two Bryans, Reap, who had a cruciate knee ligament injury, and Heenahan, who was tied up with a family wedding. They're both on the field this evening. They're both playing their part. They're both watching as Enda Maloney kicks his 6th point of the championship, and that is some response from Hollymount Carramore to remind Moy Davitts they're in a game.
Yeah. And that's the risk reward, I suppose, with Moy Davitts' positivity and pushing high. They didn't win the kick out. Darren Cohen read the break very well and fed a runner, and they got it to Enda Maloney, who's lucky enough to be on the pitch, but he got it onto the near post and swung it over. Great score. Inspirational score, because they really, really needed it. It gives them something to hold on to before half time. And he has it again.
Carramore needed that score, as Cormac said. They're coming into this game tonight off the back of that narrow defeat to Ballinrobe. They had beaten Kiltane and Burrishoole impressively in the group. Just had their momentum checked by Ballinrobe with a late burst that yielded a match-winning goal from Cian O'Connell. But on the evidence of what we've seen in this first half, no hangover, no major hang-ups from that defeat, and they are starting slowly and surely to come to terms with the Moy Davitts kick-out strategy as Darren Cohen takes the free. Hollymount Carramore hunting another score before half-time. The right man has it. Darren Cohen shoots from way over on the right. Well, it was within his compass, all right, but that one floats across the face of goal and wide. And as we always tend to say in hindsight, Cormac, they're great when they go over.
Absolutely, they are great when they go over. But I don't think you can have too much angst with that. Like it's the shooter, it's the main man. If he wants to take it on, you have to empower him to make that decision to take it on.
So it remains 7 points to 4. Brian Heenahan, what a first half he's had, but he's been pulled for over carrying. Stephen Cohen and the Gooch Fearick doubled up on him. Just forced them to take one step too many. And with just over 2 minutes left in the first half, Hollymount Carramore have a chance to break out again. Nathan Moran, his father Jarlath, is the club chairman in Hollymount Carramore. soldiered with Hollymount for years and years in intermediate championship and senior as well, has the medals to prove it, as do, of course, many of these Hollymount Carramore lads, intermediate champions back in 2015, and still a few survivors. One of them is Darren Cohn, who takes that line ball all the way across the field. Diagonal delivery, cut out by Cathal Clark, who, like a good wing forward, had tucked in to help out his defence. And he's challenged by Dylan Morris and fouled by Dylan Morris. And Moy Davitts will get a free out.
It's very obvious, Mike, that Hollymount are looking for that combination all the time of Darren Cohn dropping deep and trying to isolate Dylan Morris and put the ball in front of him.
Hollymount Carramore coach Ray Kennelly just advising his half-forward line to watch the runners coming out of the Moy Davitts defence. That they've done. There's a white wall built across the halfway line, and they have forced Moy Davitts backwards, and Oisin Quinn will take a second bite of the cherry. Dara Ruan to Anthony Jordan, looking for movement ahead of him, nothing doing. He's under pressure, and he manages to play the pass that opens things up for Tig Ruan. Scored a crucial, decisive goal against Crossmolina, but he's just been tripped. And if that's seen as a deliberate trip, well then there's another case to answer here, and Hollymount Carramore may have a problem. But it looks like Shane Corcoran is going to give the benefit of the doubt to the defender, and another lucky escape, I'd venture to say, Cormac.
Yeah, it was. He definitely put the foot across him, you know.
Cian McHale with the free to try and turn the screw, and for dramatic effect it lands on the roof of the net and sends water flying through the air, and it pushes Moy Davitts 8 points to 4 in front. Cian McHale is putting on a clinic.
Absolutely, and I can't overemphasise, you know, he's kicking in, even though the wind is going that way, he had to kick into the teeth of it, and sometimes to control that wind, to get it onto the far post and bring it back, it's a very, very difficult kick. His execution is top level.
He's now up to 5 points in this first half. The Moy Davitts centre forward, Hollymount Carramore, knew all about his threat, but it's one thing knowing about it, it's another thing dealing with it. As over on the far side, there's a break on here for Enda Maloney. Goes sprinting up along the right, needs support. It's too slow in getting there. And who was it but Brian Heenan, the full forward, who slid in to win the ball back for Moy Davitts. It's that sort of an evening. Roll up the sleeves and get stuck in, and numbers mean absolutely nothing as the man on the ball is hunted down. Enda Maloney chasing the Moy Davitts midfielder Oisin McHugh, and Moy Davitts have won the free. But Enda Maloney, well, 1 minute he was running 50 metres the other way. Next thing you know, he's chasing back to put in a tackle.
Absolutely, and that's the way it's been. Like, as you said there, Brian Heenan made up the ground. I saw Ronan Clark made up the ground. It's a very, very enjoyable game, Mike, and two wholehearted teams going at it hard and going at it in the right way.
Yeah, it was teed up in advance as match of the day. It's lived up to its potential. Ronan Clark looking to live up to his. Well, that's what we've been waiting for. Top scorer in the All-Ireland Minor Championship last year. He's still a teenager. He is only finding his way at this level, but he's a very fast learner, and that is some score.
That's a very, very good score. Again, the conditions, had to plant his feet and from distance confidently stroke the ball over the bar. Another thing with that as well is Conor Reid is constantly breaking the line. He's sucking defenders to him, and people are wrapping around him and are able to get shots off as a result. He's had a huge first half.
Well, Ronan Clark becomes the first Moy Davitts forward other than Cian McHale and Brian Reip to score here. And it just pushes Moy Davitts, Jimmy Byrne's team, that little bit further ahead. That was a slightly late hit on Cian McHale. Referee plays the advantage. Anthony Jordan to Brian Reip. The dynamic duo for years and years with Moy Davitts. Reip is so dangerous, even from here. Puts the foot to the floor, cuts in. It's Reip. What a score from Brian Reip. It had pace, power and precision. And you can be sure Brian Reip is back. He
is, most definitely. I watched him down in Foxford 4 weeks ago, and he was exceptional in the first half. As you said earlier, and I commented that day, he's in great shape. He showed a clean pair of heels there, and he could have worked a goal, but he did the right thing. He was on his left peg, put it over the bar. But I think the big difference between the teams, Mike, is the flexibility up top of the Moy Davitts. They have 4 or 5 guys that are contributing. Brian Heenan hasn't scored, but he's caused a lot of trouble, whereas Hollymount are looking to Darren Cohn constantly and Dylan Morris. They don't have enough flexibility or enough options higher up the pitch, so far anyway.
That was good refereeing by Shane Corcoran, because he had spotted the hit by Kevin Fearick on Cian McHale that was a little late. He's just booked the Hollymount Carramore number 24, and now he blows the half-time whistle. Almost 3 minutes of additional time played, and the teams, I think, heading for a deserved half-time break. The jerseys will be changed, I'd imagine. There will be hot drinks taken, and they will try to gather their thoughts after a rip-roaring first half. We talk about how good the Intermediate Championship is often in Mayo, Cormac Rowland, but it has shown us just why in that first half.
Absolutely, and I've been at a good few intermediate games over the course of the season, Mike, and I have to say I've enjoyed it immensely. The pace it's been played at, the positivity with which it's been played at as well. Both teams are going out to win the games that I've been at rather than going out not to lose. You know, like Hollymount have, for their part, have contributed to the game so far. They're going at it. They're leaving gaps at the back, but you know, there is a risk reward. You have to go out and try and win the game as well. But as you said, it's been a great game, a great advertisement for intermediate football and Mayo football in general, which is heartening to see, Mike. The level of forward interplay in the first half has been very, very good. It's been of a high level.
Couple of things just to maybe zone in on before we take a break for half time. Moy Davitts, 6 points from play. Cian McHale and Brian Reap doing most of the damage. Hollymount Carramore, 1 point from play in that first half from Enda Maloney. How big of an impact did the conditions have on that statistic? The fact that Hollymount Carramore could only get through for 1 point from play.
It's definitely an issue, because even from our vantage point here, you don't get a full appreciation until you're under pressure, faced with having to get a shot off from 25, 30 metres, and you've one of the likes of Conor Reid or Conal Quinn coming across you. You know, trying to plant your feet and judge the wind and getting the strike. There's a lot in it, so it's definitely had an impact. I think one of the bigger impacts we've seen here today so far, Mike, has been Hollymount's trouble with their own kick-out. In modern day Gaelic football across all grades, turnovers and kick-outs are where a lot of scores come from, and Hollymount have lost an awful lot of their own kick-outs.
Last one for you before the break. What is Tom Kennelly going to do about Cian McHale and Brian Reap? And you can throw in Brian Heenan and Ronan Clark, and Conor Reid probably deserves a mention as well. That Moy Davitts attack, how do Hollymount Carramore start to put the clamps on them?
It's going to be difficult, Mike. Again, you see, and this is what Moy Davitts have comparable to a lot of intermediate teams. And to be honest, I think they have a forward line that's on a par with a lot of the higher end senior teams as well. To get matchups for 4 and 5 guys that are all capable of scoring, they're a few points behind here, so going that little bit more defensively and sitting off and trying to get sweepers in place, they can't really do at this stage. They have to go after the game, so I think they might have to make a change with 1 or 2 defenders. Stephen Cohen, they may or may not want to do it, but he might have to go back to the full back line. Brian Reap has caused an awful lot of hassle in there. He started on him originally, but he hasn't been there in the last 25 minutes. They might have to get him back there because he's caused a lot of bother. Ronan Clark has played in fits and starts, but has brought quality when he has gone in there. It's a tough one for them because they have to chase the game, but they also have to stop leaking at the back. So they're in a precarious enough position, I'd say, Mike, at this point.
Is there a way back for them?
I think they're going to need a goal. I think they're going to need Darren Cohn, maybe closer to goal, and feed him and Dylan Morris. I think there might be a goal in Hollymount with Dylan Morris and Darren Cohn inside. I think they're going to need it. This game is far from over, but I do think they're going to need to start the second half very well and garner some momentum quickly.
Thanks, Cormac. That's it from us for the moment. We're going to break for the half-time cup of tea, which reminds me, a huge thank you to everyone here at Carramore GA Club for making us so welcome and really rolling out the red carpet and pulling out all the stops in terms of refreshments for us and cover as well. It's much appreciated. And on that note, a huge thank you as well to Delaney's Hardware for helping us with the commentary position here in Carramore on such a miserable evening for Gaelic football. But thankfully, Moy Davitts and Hollymount Carramore have made light of the conditions so far, and the good news is second half coming up very shortly. At half time in the Egan Jewelers Mayo Intermediate Club Championship quarter final, it's Moy Davitts who lead Hollymount Carramore by 10 points to 4. We're back very shortly with second half commentary. Carramore 23. That's Conor Geraghty, who a late inclusion in the team. Chance for Moy Davitts. Chance for Brian Reap. That's by Moy Davitts, and the counter attack is now very much on. Cian McHale takes a touch, looks around. McHale backs himself. Right hand side. Cian McHale wants it, gets it. Lovely dummy and across today. 45 is taken short. Cian McHale. That's beautiful. It's curling. It's close.
Half the pitch.
Brian Heenahan again, he's the furthest Moy Davitts man forward. Lovely ball in towards Brian Reap. Good hands. And Reap shows his...
Darren Cohn will kick these all day.
So 3 points from frees for Darren. Moment, they're 2 to the good. Cian McHale, he'll back himself to shoot here. He's extremely accurate. That is some kick and some...
Even though he's playing in the half-back line, he's a very kind of comfortable. He reminds you...
And Heenahan, who was tied up with a family wedding. They're both on the field this evening. They're both playing their part. They're both watching as Enda Maloney...
Definitely put the foot across him, you know.
Cian McHale with the free to try and turn
the right way.
Yeah, it was teed up in advance as match of the day. It's lived up to its potential. Ronan Clark looking to live up to his and years with Moy Davitts. Reap is so dangerous, even from here. Puts the foot to the floor, cuts in. It's Reap. And you're very welcome back to Ahamore. Hollymount, Carramore, as you'll see, making their way back out onto the field. I'm sure the words of Tom Kennelly ringing in their ears, Cormac, and that's probably an understatement.
Yeah, I'd say they need to find something now in the next 5 or 6 minutes of this half. They were doing fine, Mike, and they fell away in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the half, which has cost them now. They're 6 points down. It'll be interesting to see how my Davitts approach it. They were very much on the front foot in that first half, going after Hollymount. Now that they have the something to protect, does that little bit of psychology come into it where they begin to sit off and look for Hollymount to come onto them and hit them on the break? It'll be interesting to see.
Just looking at the options that Tom Kennelly and his management team have in the second half, Oisin Gill, of course, and Jack Kane, who would be very much at opposite ends of the age spectrum. Neither of those players started. Jack Kane, the Mayo minor of last year, he's just 17 years of age, a really exciting young prospect. I'm sure we'll see him before the evening is out. And, of course, Tom Morris, who came in to make such a big impact against Ballinrobe the last day. He is also an option. And, in fact, I think Tom Morris is going to start this second half. I see him shaking hands with his immediate opponent. So there has been at least one change on the Hollymount Carramore team at half-time. Tom Morris, they call him locally the hardest working man in Hollymount. If you want your silage cut, your turf sold, or your cows milked, Tom Morris is the man to go to. And they've turned to him here, Cormac, at the start of this second half to try and haul their team back into this game. Yeah,
well, he sounds like a man of many talents. He could do a kick and a few points here fairly quick, Mike, as well, thrown into the bargain.
Well, my Davitts have joined us as well. They are looking a lot more relaxed than Hollymount Carramore, and one glance at that scoreline will tell you why. They have played some really good football to put themselves in a match-winning position. Now the question is, can they go back to a second successive county semi-final? They are seen by many as the coming team in the intermediate championship. Now there's a change for 23 for 26 we're hearing. So it is... in fact, it's Tom Morris for Conor Geraghty, just to confirm. So 26 for 23 is the change. And away we go. Shane Corcoran gets the second half started. And it is Moy Davitts on the attack. Brian Heenahan races out from the edge of the square to Anthony Jordan. Takes the crash ball, drives through the defence. Goal chance! Cathal Clark makes no mistake. Couldn't miss. It all came from that barnstorming run from Anthony Jordan. He just would not take no for an answer and put it on a plate for Cathal Clark to hit the net. And now Moy Davitts have opened up a 9-point lead.
Yeah, the start that we were talking about that Hollymount needed, my Davitts have got it. Like, it's going to be a long, long way back from here to make up 9 points. You're going to have to play a lot of football, and so far we haven't seen that they're going to do that.
Well, it's a real hammer blow for Hollymount Carramore. Just the second goal they've conceded in the championship as they try to hit back, and they do. And it's Tom Morris who came in off the bench who makes an instant impact. 3 Morrises now in the Hollymount Carramore forward line, and it's Tom, the man with the cleanest jersey in Ahamore, that hits back.
It was a good score, took the ball on the burst, was very definite on what he wanted to do, hit the line and drove it over the bar. Just on that goal a minute ago, it's very telling again. It was Conor Reid who made the initial incision, gave the ball off. Anthony Jordan made the third man run, took it through the middle, sucked the defenders to him and fed a nice ball across. But again, Reid is having a big influence both as a fielder but also driving on from the middle third.
Pressure on here. Oisin Quinn manages to hold off Matthew Morris. Paul Byrne gives it to Oisin Quinn again, which reminds me, 5 sets of brothers on the Moy Davitts panel, including the Burns and the Quinns, as Conor Reid goes forward again on that right-hand side. Ball recycled to the shooter, Cian McHale, the most dangerous of them all. Oh, what a pass to pick out his brother Cullum. One McHale to another. It splits Hollymount Carramore open. Reap is in, and Brian Reap rolls back the years to score Moy Davitts' second goal. And Hollymount Carramore now in dire straits.
Dire straits. Again, though, like the vision and the composure of Cian McHale to spread that ball across the field. And in fairness, the decision making of Cullum, he didn't see his name up in lights and take a wild swing at it. He took a solo. He fixed the defender in, got it to the right man, and Reap's finish was superb. put it across the goal, side-footed it, stayed in control of his finish. It was a really, really good finish. He looks really, really sharp. I've been very, very impressed with him here today.
2-10 to 5 points. Brian Reap with his third goal of this season's Intermediate Championship. Coming back from that cruciate knee injury. He's had a lot of injury problems the last few years, but he is back in business as Declan Fearick hits back for Hollymount Carramore again. Well, they won't bend the knee, that's for sure. They break down the field as quickly as they can, and Tom Kennelly is going to send in Jack Kane. Well, we predicted he would be arriving sooner rather than later, and he's in to replace Enda Maloney, having watched his teammates concede those 2 goals. Well, Maloney had worked so hard, Cormac, but it's obviously a tactical change. Jack Kane, a bigger man, and he heads right into the middle of the field.
Yeah, and he's a fine striker of the ball as well. I saw him with the minor team last year. He's well able to kick a score, and they need scores. Enda, in fairness to him, emptied his tank. You know, wing forward in the modern game, it's a tough call, and you're up and down that wing, and you get very little reward sometimes for it. But he put in an honest shift. It's unfortunate the 2 goals have gone in just after half time, but Jack will come in now and try and get a score or 2.
So Moy Davitts, well, they've been playing a bit like Kevin Keegan's Newcastle this season. They have now scored 9 goals and conceded 5 in the championship as Hollymount Carramore come again, and they've pulled back another point. So their comeback is starting to kick into gear, but the goals have done the damage, and there's still quite a bit of daylight. But Hollymount Carramore trying to keep Moy Davitts penned in now. Yeah,
like there's been 2-3 scores since half time. Like it's phenomenal to think how high scoring the game has been and how good forwards have been and how dominant they've been. But that score came off the kick out really. And Hollymount are beginning to get a bit of joy off the Moy Davitts kick out.
Nathan Moran it was who broke that ball down. Here's Matthew Morris, who hits it with everything he has, right on the sweet spot. And Hollymount Carramore have hit 3 points without reply since Brian Reap scored the goal to wipe out that advantage and to keep the comeback going.
Yeah, and it's exactly what they needed after that second goal gone in. They needed a response. They've got 3 points on the board. They're beginning to pin them in. Moy Davitts are going to have to go to a set piece because they're under serious pressure here. And they've just about won it, and the right man has it to cover a bit of ground. Great ball inside. Oh, what a
Ronan
pass.
Clark, and that is some pass right onto Cian McHale's chest. Takes the mark quickly, looking for Reap in around the back. Oh, Brian Reap! What a goal! Well, he who hesitates is lost, and Niall Campbell there just hesitated for a moment, and Reap, soccer style, clipped it into the back of the net for his second goal. Moy Davitts' third. He's absolutely lethal around the square. The fox in the box, Brian Reap, with his second goal.
Yeah, it was a bit of a gimme in the end, but it still had to be finished. He has a nose for goal. He wants to score goals. He's a scoring forward. I remember him scoring 1-7 in the Connacht Minor final in 2014. He's a player I've always liked. It's great to see him back, and it's great to see him contributing scores heavily like he is today.
Well, without wishing to overemphasise the point, it is an awful evening for a game. The conditions are getting worse by the minute. Pitch is heavy. The rain is falling constantly. And yet Brian Reap made it look like he was playing a game of Astro there, the way he controlled that ball and nonchalantly just side-footed into the back of the net.
He's playing with such confidence. Like, you know, the first goal, the way he finished it, and there, like, it's just so natural and it's so easy to him. The interplay again, though, Mike, the pass from Ronan Clark, like the way to pass with the outside of the boot, and then McHale's decision making. The pass wasn't perfect, but they want to score. They want to go at the opposition. It's great to see. Like, it's really enjoyable stuff to be here to watch it.
Well, Darren Cohn keeps the scoreboard ticking over with that lovely free. I can see a few car lights being switched on around the ground here in Ahamore. Surely only a matter of time before the floodlights are switched on as well, the way the evening is starting to close in as Reap slips it to the runner. It's Anthony Jordan, the old 1-2, back to Reap. He's on a hat-trick, and Campbell comes up with a big save to deny Brian Reap a 4th goal for Moy Davitts. But they look absolutely deadly when they break the line.
Absolutely. Like it's those little pop passes and the runners coming off it. Anthony Jordan again making an incision. Conor Reid is doing it all day, and they want to score. They want to get at the opposition. It's real positivity. I've seen them a good few times all year. This is the best I've seen them play, but they're always able to score, and they always want to score and be positive.
45 quickly taken, trying to work a training ground move. That was a foul on Conor Reid. And a free in and a chance for everybody just to catch their breath. Well, if you're watching in the likes of Gyrie's in Foxford, the Copper Beach in Strayed, or the Village Inn in Bohola, I'm sure this is very pleasant viewing for you. Not so much if you're subscribed and logged on in Finnerty's or on Fogine Mara in Hollymount. It's been one of those evenings for Hollymount Carramore. They've played some nice football, but they have been opened up time and again by this slick and razor sharp Moy Davitts attack that has already, in these treacherous conditions, put 3 goals and 10 points on the board. Now the ball beats the press and Tom Morris has a chance to drive down the field again. Still going. He's beat about 5 defenders. Plays the pass. Hollymount Carramore could be in here. It's a half chance. It's blocked and smothered and cleared away. And the credit there, I think, goes to Oisin Quinn. We'll put the proper name and number on the player that made the block in a moment. He's just out of our eye line right now. But when Tom Morris made the break, Cormac, just for a second, it looked like they had the numbers. And in fact, it was the midfielder, Oisin McHugh, that made the block.
Yeah, it's a feature of the game today, Moy Davitts' commitment to make those recovery runs. They've been getting back. I've seen Heenahan, McHugh, Ronan Clark at it all day. I thought Morris should have got his hands free and fed it across. He took a play and it allowed Moy Davitts to swarm and the chance went with him. But this game now is being completely played on Moy Davitts' terms now. Like, it's going to have to be fast and loose for Hollymount to get back in it. They're going to have to get goals, and as the looser the game gets, the more it's going to suit Moy Davitts to pick them off.
Well, as you've probably gathered, it's an evening for the fireside or the high stool as the rain starts to fall that little bit heavier, the wind picks up. It's at Hollymount Carramore's back though, crucially in this second half. Moy Davitts though have a lead to protect, a cushion to sit on. Hollymount Carramore would need a goal or two, you'd imagine, to get back into this, as Conor Reid is swallowed up by 4 Hollymount Carramore men. Ball squirts out as far as Colin McHale, and McHale clips it to the brother Keane on the far side. Again, they're on the same page. Ball played into the corner. Brian Reap is on the move. Support from Cathal Clark, one of the goal scorers. Back to Reap, the other man who's hit the net. Brian Reap, off balance, tight angle. Shot flies high and wide. Now, Brian Reap is down. I think he may have been caught just as he pulled the trigger. Shane Corcoran doesn't seem to be wholly interested. Certainly, there's no question of a free being given. But this looks very concerning because Brian Reap is down and looks to be in some trouble, Cormac.
He's in difficulty there. Is he holding his shoulder? Is it his upper body? I suppose from everybody's viewpoint, you wouldn't want him to be holding his knee, because I think he's 2 cruciates in a row, and it's great to see him out here today. So you'd hope maybe he got a late hit as he planted his feet and kicked that ball. He's causing holy hell in there, Mike. Like, he won that ball in the corner, and a quick one too. And you know, for a player of his ability, he would have expected to stroke that over the bar. But we'll give him that one. He's put on a clinic, as you'd say, here today. He's made a massive contribution. But I hope, for everybody's perspective and Football and Mayo's perspective, that he's up and he's able to play on here.
Yeah, 2-4 for Brian Reap already, and let's hope this is not as serious as it looks, because as Cormac said, he's had a really horrid time with injuries these last few years. Also lost his dad earlier this year, and great to see Brian back doing what he does best on the football field over the last couple of months. But he's just taking a little longer than Jimmy Byrne would like here to get back up to his feet. And the stoppage just, I suppose, takes the sting out of the Hollymount Carramore comeback, and it also just means that the remains of Storm Agnes, I presume that's what's hitting Ahamore at the moment, Cormac, starts to take even more of a toll on the crowd out in the open, and indeed the players as well. It's like an evening you'd be playing a Kelly Cup match. Yeah,
definitely, and everybody praying for the referee to blow it up 15 minutes sooner than it should, so we could all get home. But it's been a good game. It's been a great game in the conditions, and Brian is up and he's moving. He looks to be moving freely. I'd say he might have been aerobically a little bit winded there, so he probably just needed a few seconds just to get himself going again. And for everybody's benefit, it's great to see him back up there again.
So play restarts, everybody fit to continue and go again. Still 10 points between them, but it's not that sort of a game. It doesn't feel like that sort of a game, Cormac. You nearly have to look at the scoreboard to remind yourself that there's such a big gap.
Absolutely, Mike. That's a good point. It's really just been played in moments where my Davitts have just got away and have been very, very deadly around the goal and have punished Hollymount very, very heavily for the incisions that they've made. But in the general play up and down the field, it's been quite even. It's been a good game. It's been played at a good pace, in a good spirit, and it just shows you the work rate of my Davitts. That was Brian Heenahan. I know it was a free in, but the work that he's put in all day, tracking back and getting hits in, and that's what championship football is all about. Lovely score.
So a yellow for Brian Heenahan, a point from a free from Darren Cohn. Well, he has been kicking like clockwork this evening. Lethal from the frees. He's got on a lot of ball in open play as well. And still a lot of time left here. We're not even halfway through the second half yet. 3-10 plays 10 points. The 2 goals from Brian Reap and the 1 from Cathal Clark. That's what separates the teams right now on the scoreboard. All we can do is apologise to you, obviously, for the rain that's blowing towards the camera, towards the commentary position. It's one of those evenings as my Davitts, well, it's so simple and so effective. Quick ball to Brian Reap. He's fouled, and 1 or 2 of the Hollymount Carramore lads have, well, it's back chat. They've spoken again, out of turn to Shane Corcoran. And we talk about the consistency of Brian Reap and Darren Cohn when they have the ball in their hands, Cormac. Shane Corcoran consistent as well, to be fair. Yeah,
he's had a good game. He's been sharp on the things that he's decided to be sharp on. Back chat, definitely. Look, it's a silly free, it's a frustrating free from a coach's or manager's perspective to give away. And he's been good on the steps as well. Just that's the third kick out Ronan Clark has won in the second half. They're targeting him with the kick outs, and his use of the ball has been very, very good. In terms of his overall development and his overall education as a footballer, it's good to see him out in the half forward line and learning a bit about the nuts and bolts. I suppose my Davitts are lucky enough that they have 2 inside guys as good as what they have, that he can learn, or that he can be brought out and do that up and down role. Because as you go up the grades, and he will go up the grades, it's not all about putting the ball over the bar. It's a big part of it, but you have to be putting in the groundwork as well.
Well, Kilmina and Ballinrobe already through to the semi-finals of the Egan Jewellers Mayo Intermediate Football Championship. Will it be Moy Davitts or Hollymount Carramore to join them? Lewisburg and Castlebar, Mitchells B have a bit of sorting out to do tomorrow in the 4th quarter final. Right now, well, the smart money, all the money would be on a Moy Davitts win here as they try to protect what they have, and what they have is a 10-point lead, but they're playing against the wind and the rain, and they've just given away a free ball touched on the floor. Chance maybe for Darren Cohn to do something quickly. No, instead decides to use all those years of experience, and he's going to slow it right down, and he's going to try and kick this over the bar with the wind behind him. Was a rough night, as the saying goes, and it's a rough evening here in Ahamore, and that free is caught on the gale force breeze, which has got considerably stronger, Cormac, in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
It has.
And just sucks it away from goal.
It is, and to be honest, like, playing with that breeze is as much detrimental at this point as playing against it, because you see with Darren there, like, any height on the ball at all and the wind just takes it, you know. It's going to be very, very difficult in these conditions to make up 10 points. You'd think if Moy Davitts can avoid anything stupid, manage the next 5 or 6 minutes, it should see them home.
So all eyes on Chris McGlynn, intermediate medal winner back in 2017. Donegal man, now very much an adopted Moy Davitts man. He was looking for Anthony Jordan, ball breaks instead to Dylan Jennings, son of Ardle, nephew of Jarlath, both of whom wore the Hollymount jersey for years, and indeed the green and red of Mayo as well. So he comes from good football stock, that's for sure. He's won a free. Darren Cohn to take it. The call comes inside from Robert Malloy. Malloy, 5 points from play in the championship coming into this game tonight. Hasn't got within shooting range of the goal though just yet. Here he is again, back as far as Dylan Jennings. Moy Davitts have got their defence set, and they're pushing Hollymount Carramore out away from the D. That is until Tom Morris takes on the defence, goes by the referee, gives it to Malloy, goes low, stopped by Chris McGlynn. Well, he had to get down very quickly there. That shot came through a crowded goalmouth from Robert Malloy, and that's a very good save by McGlynn.
It was an excellent save because with the conditions, the ball skidding off the ground, he needed to get his body behind the ball. He managed to get his body behind it and move it. It moved centrally, but he had enough on it to get his own players in and around the ball. I think we've a sub coming in here for Mayo Davitts here.
So it is Pádraig Ruan who's going to replace Anthony Jordan. So one of the many Ruans in the Mayo Davitts squad and club. Here he is, involved right away. Replaces Anthony Jordan, who has run himself into the ground. It has been an energy-sapping evening as Dara Ruan tries to take on all comers on his way out of the Mayo Davitts defence, but he was pushed down a cul-de-sac. Hollymount Carramore line ball. They take it quickly off the ball. There's been a tangle between Dylan Morris and one of the defenders, and if Shane Corcoran saw that, well, I think Dylan Morris could be in trouble. That's sheer and utter frustration from Dylan Morris, but it was right in front of Shane Corcoran, and by the way he blew the whistle, Cormac, it sounded like he'd seen what happened.
Yeah, and I think another Mayo Davitts man has gone to ground there. I think Hollymount Carramore are getting frustrated now, and it's manifesting itself in daft stuff, really, like sly digs. Like there was nothing in that. Like Conal Quinn had turned the ball over, there was no need for it, and he's probably going to get a red. He'll be very lucky not to.
Yeah, Dylan Morris was trying to get the Mayo Davitts man, Pádraig Ruan, out of his road. Pádraig wasn't for moving, and then Dylan Morris took the law into his own hands. Now, how did Shane Corcoran interpret that tackle? That is the next question. I see Tom Morris has gone in as well. I'm not quite sure if he's been invited in or he's invited himself across. I'm not sure. Pádraig Ruan is also there, so perhaps we'd never see it settled the old-fashioned way, Cormac, would we? Yellows all round? It's looking like it.
Yeah, the longer it's going on, the more likely it's going to be yellows all round, and everybody will walk away happy. Just with Mayo Davitts, all season I've been watching them. Anthony Jordan puts in a shift for 40-45 minutes and they get him off the park and they get fresh legs in. He's put in a very honest hour or 40 minutes here today.
There you go, right on the money, 3 yellows. I'm not quite sure how we got there, but we did.
I think there's a job in the UN could be for Shane at some point.
He keeps the peace and yellows all round, and as Cormac said, everyone walks away happy. 10.5 minutes to go here in Ahamore. Mayo Davitts haven't got the job finished yet. If Hollymount Carramore were to hit the net, we're in for a big last 10 minutes. That's Robert Malloy trying to bring it in on the wind. Wide ball, says the umpire. Couldn't have been a whole lot in it. But while the breeze is technically behind them, if only it was that straightforward, Cormac.
Yeah, it's blowing into that corner and it is difficult. It's difficult to control it. At this point, it's nearly as easy put a ball inside against it as with it. But Robert, it was a good strike. He started outside the post and it just went.
The good news is the rain has stopped. Not quite sure how long that will last as Nathan Moran wins the ball, wins the free, takes it to Jack Kane, and Hollymount Carramore are on the move again. But they need scores and quickly. The clock is counting down. 10 minutes to go. Dylan Morris back as far as the cornerback Joe Lydon. Mayo Davitts are using the sideline as an extra defender almost, pushing Hollymount Carramore wide left. So they come back to the centre to Dylan Jennings. Loose man on this near side is Michael Sheridan. He's a neighbour of his midfield partner Nathan Moran. They dovetail together really neatly. This time it's Sheridan who gives it to the Gooch Fearick. Back to Stephen Cohen. He's had a quiet game this evening, Stephen Cohen, by his own standards. Tom Morris, he's been really busy. Nathan Moran trying to get onto the loose ball, but it just wouldn't sit up for him. Turned over by Mayo Davitts and Paul Byrne, and away goes Brian Heenahan. Spins out of the tackle. 2 Hollymount Carramore men after him. Joe Lydon is waiting for him as well. Cathal Clark now gets up in support, but instead Heenahan gives it back out the field to Oisin McHugh. Man of the match for St Joseph's College Foxford in an All-Ireland Schools final way back in 2012. Quick hands to Reap. They're hunting another goal. It's Ronan Clark, and it's a 4th Mayo Davitts goal. Ronan Clark with the most beautiful of finishes after Brian Reap set him up. Mayo Davitts at their free-flowing best. Yeah,
it's beautiful football to watch. That interaction amongst their forwards. Reap again heavily involved. Brian Heenahan took the ball on. Didn't isolate himself, came back where there was support. They had a runner off it. Reap did a 1-2. And again, Mike, their decision making around the goal has been top class this evening.
Well, Mayo Davitts have made a change. In fact, they could have made 2. 24 is certainly on. That's John Gilmore for Paul Byrne. And I think another player may have slipped in there a moment ago as well, as Jimmy Byrne runs the bench. And I suppose if he can't run it now, when can he, Cormac? 4-11 to 10 points, and that goal from Clark just had the feel of a final nail about it.
Yeah. You just get the impression that Hollymount weren't tracking runners there. It just was too easy. I think at this point you can well and truly call it off. I think it's Moy Davitts' day, but the finish from Clark was top level. Very composed.
Ryan Kenny has also come in for Oisín Quinn, so 2 defenders replaced, and I'm not surprised the Moy Davitts backline have run themselves into the ground, worked themselves to a standstill, and with 7 minutes to go here in Carramore, it is the job almost done. Conor Reid still full of running. Nathan Moran is after him. Ball was moved very quickly there by the hands by Reid to Pádraig Ruan, and here's Ryan Kenny looking to make an impact, looking to catch the manager's eye. Don't forget the draw for the semi-finals of both the senior, intermediate and indeed the junior championships will be made tomorrow evening on the Mayo GAA Facebook page around about 6 o'clock. Moy Davitts, well, they will be one of the 4 names in the intermediate championship semi-final race, as Cian McHale grabs that ball, claims the mark, and now what can he come up with? And there's that wind again, making that kick from Cian McHale a lot more difficult than it usually is, as Hollymount Carramore get ready to make a change. 27, Conor Heenahan, the man who is absolutely lethal at the Ocky, the man who's hoping to be in the PDC World Championship playing professional darts sooner rather than later. He's in, and it's Kevin Fearick who's taken out. In fact, it's going to be a double change. Oisín Duffy and, in fact, a treble change. Oisín Duffy and JJ Kennelly are coming in with Michael Sheridan, one of the players to make way. And Tom Kennelly is running his bench now for a very different reason, Cormac, to Jimmy Byrne, obviously. But good to see these guys getting in, getting minutes, and they'll be all the better for it.
Absolutely, and the commitment, at club level in Mayo is very high at club level, and ultimately you can only put 15 out on a pitch on a given day, so it's good to see lads get an opportunity. They put a big shift in over the course of the season, a big effort in, and you have to acknowledge that, because the game, there can be no game without the players, and the players are the vital components of any game, so it's nice to see lads get a run out.
Matthew Morris, one of the Hollymount Carramore lads, replaced 1-7 he had coming into this game tonight, but of course that meant his name was up in lights for Moy Davitts, and they tagged him, and they just made it very difficult for him to make an impact. But he's a young player, he's got loads of potential, and he's a name you're going to hear an awful lot more about in the years to come, as is this young defender, Colin McHale. How cool on the ball is he? Was playing minor football only about 12 months ago, and looks like a veteran, looks like a seasoned pro out there.
He is. He's very comfortable on the ball. I really like the look of him. He's a very creative half-back.
Brian Reap to Brian Heenahan. So good to link up and combine and to make defenders' lives nightmares, really. Shane Corcoran is given the free, no advantage. Doesn't really put Moy Davitts up or down, as they make a double change. Liam Byrne is coming in for Brian Reap. They're going to wrap him up in cotton wool. Liam Byrne, a man who played minor football for Mayo in 2014 and 2015. And another player, it's Stephen Clark, brother of Ronan, who's coming in to replace Cathal Clark. They've togged 37 players this evening, Cormac, Moy Davitts. That is a statement of intent.
Absolutely. And it just shows you the work that they've done at underage in the last few years. They won the minor A last year. They've won a few minor A's in recent years, and they've won a few under 21 A's as well. So they've a lot of stuff coming through. They've a lot of natural ball players, and I suppose they want to win this championship. You're going to have to lean on your bench, so it's good to get as many players as you can out in the field and get game into them.
So Brian Heenahan applies a little more gloss to the winning margin for Moy Davitts. Well, they were on a lot of people's shortlist to win this competition before a ball was kicked very hard to see how they won't be favourites now to win it out from here on, Cormac.
Yeah, well, like Hollymount would be seen, I suppose, as a heavyweight at this level, and they've played senior football in the recent past. So to come here today, this was a real gut check, I felt, for my Davitts tonight. You know, I wouldn't have any issue with their footballing ability, but a wet, dirty evening coming up against Hollymount, this was going to be a real tester. So to come out of it as impressively as they have is a real feather in their cap. Now, there's other teams waiting. Ballinrobe are going to be there or thereabouts. Kilmena obviously have the momentum from last year as well. Lewisburg, Castlebar. But like coming out of here today, you'd have to feel they're going to be right there.
Well, I mentioned that comparison to Kevin Keegan's Newcastle earlier on. Moy Davitts now 11 goals scored. Crucially though, still only the 5 conceded. And unless things change in the next few minutes, that's another big positive from them to take from tonight, isn't it, Cormac, if they can keep a clean sheet?
Absolutely. I was just going to say that, Mike. That I think coming out of here today, that might be the thing as a group that they might be most happiest with. I had seen plenty of them in the Division 2 final and against Crossmolina, and they conceded a lot of goal chances, and they were playing with fire to a large degree. Tonight, their work rate was higher, they were more tuned in, and their structure was very, very good. I think they'll be delighted with that, Mike.
Stoppage here. Shane Corcoran is having a word with his linesman on the far side, and the conversation went on long enough to suggest it's something a little more serious than what's the plans for afterwards, or will we stop on the way home. In fact, he's looking for Tom Morris, so not quite sure what happened. I'm guessing it was off the ball, but Tom Morris is the player who's been called in by the referee. It's a second yellow because he was booked in that incident, remember, about 10 minutes ago. I'm not quite sure why he picked up the first yellow or the second for that matter, but 2 yellows make a red, and Tom Morris, who has been so influential in this second half, his evening finishes a little early, and Hollymount Carramore will finish this game with 14 men.
Yeah, they've been teetering on that now for the last 5 or 6 minutes, but he had a busy 25 minutes whilst he was on. He made 1 or 2 incisions, kicked a good score, got booked.
We're going to have at least 5 minutes of additional time. What could Hollymount Carramore conjure up in those 5 minutes? They go along to the edge of the square. They've pushed Nathan Moore in towards goal. Looked like Moy Davitts had cut out that attack. Instead, it's Dylan Morris. He's trying to get room to swing, and he did, but it was blocked down by Connell Quinn, the man for all seasons, the man who will be, I'm sure, on John Pat Sheridan's shortlist for the Mayo Masters, if he isn't already, fairly soon. The man who has already celebrated his 40th. Not quite sure where he went. Was it Gyrie's, the Copper Beach, or the Village Inn? But he was the man that made the block. And down at the other end, it's Moy Davitts now, who so quickly turned defence into attack. Pádraig Ruan, support from Brian Heenahan. Wind howling into Moy Davitts' faces as they try to make their way forward. Cian McHale sets up Ryan Kenny. Ball worked across to Conor Reid. This is the last thing Hollymount Carramore need as we tick into the first of the 5 minutes of additional time. Ryan Kenny invites in a defender, plays it to Ronan Clark, tries to pick out the pass. You could see what he was thinking. It was Cian McHale who was making the run at the back post, but well cut out back there by Jack Kane. His father Vinny won an intermediate championship, or maybe even 2, with Ballintubber back in the day. Jack Kane's ball played to the far side towards Dylan Jennings, and Dylan just couldn't quite get there. Ball got out over the line, and it's back in a Moy Davitts' hand again as they try to keep the pressure on and top up this margin of victory. Pádraig Ruan has time there to take a little toe tap to himself. Hollymount Carramore are in a defensive rearguard situation here when they need to be heading the other way. Oisin McHugh flicks it outside to Stephen Clark. Stephen Clark is bottled up, and Shane Corcoran has given him the free, and I suppose the end justifies the means. They got what they came for.
Yeah, they held on to the ball, they went through the phases. They're playing for time really at this stage, and the foul was made, and I'm sure they'll take whatever they can, a few seconds out of it, and this will be a tough enough free for Cian McHale. The breeze will be blown right into his face. He'll have to put it on the near post, but he struck the ball beautifully all evening. He could go outside of the boot, or he'll go with the instep trying to get it onto the near post. We'll see how he does. It's a very good kick.
Well, considering the stage in the game we're in the 62nd minute, considering just how heavy the conditions are, Cian McHale has just underlined how good he is with that free. And that means, and I was never the best at maths, Cormac, but I make it 4 goals and 3 points my Davitts have scored in the second half to 6 points for Hollymount. The 4 goals, well, they just really did break this game, although that point from Brian Enan doesn't do any harm either. We knew their forward line was potentially the match winners, and that's how it's played out.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just the cohesion amongst each other and the decision making. You know, a player makes an incision. Keane McHale receives the ball, rather than taking a silly shot off the outside of the boot, he looks for somebody on the wraparound. Brian Heenan gets it, and each and every one of them are comfortable taking the score. You know, you see a lot of club teams, there's 2 or 3 guys they're leaning on, and then there's other guys that they'd rather not see take a shot. And my Davitts have real fluidity and scoring power up top.
Robert Malloy sends it in the way that Dylan Morris just likes it, and he got out in front of his man, and he's been fouled, and we'll have a penalty that may not quite bring the curtain down on this game, but it's in its dying moments or closing stages. But they've been trying that one a few times. Hollymount Carramore, the floater from the right wing into the full forward line, into Dylan Morris's corner. He's played his part. Now, the question is, can Darren Cohen play his? Such a sweet striker of a ball. Chris McGlynn has come out, I think, just to do a Bruce Grobbelaar on it, Cormac. But and there's also the small matter, I think, of a car pulled up for a look at the back of the goal. That won't help either.
Yeah. All we need now is them to do an Evan Comerford on it and start shaking the goal as well.
A Matty Joe Connolly.
Yeah.
But Shane Corcoran is just telling him to stay on the line.
Darren looks relaxed enough, I think. I have a good feeling about him.
Well, we've got a decent view, as do those of you at home, but the person in the car behind the goal has got the best view of the lot, as Darren Cohen faces Chris McGlynn, and Darren Cohen makes it look easy. Cool as you like. Goal for Hollymount Carramore. The clean sheet for my Davitts is gone, as is the driver of the car, and it's now 4 goals and 14 points to 110.
Well struck penalty. Never in any doubt. He's very confident in his striking, very controlled, side-footed, but plenty of power. Kept it low, and Chris couldn't get down to it. Nestled in the bottom corner.
So Dinny Cohn, as they call him in the Hollymount Carramore dressing room, hits the net in the 64th minute. Ronan Clark showing a very clean pair of heels and hands there to the Hollymount Carramore lads. Still going strong. Here's Dara Ruan. Looks like he's only getting started. Looks like a man that could go another 64 minutes, Cormac, doesn't he?
He could, definitely. And I tell you, if Andy Farrell was stuck, he could throw him in for centre against Scotland next week. He's in some shape.
Certainly didn't miss too many workouts in Australia by the looks of things.
No, definitely not.
I'm sure Niamh Kelly, his girlfriend, the professional AFLW player, keeping him honest out there, training together as before Dara came back to Ireland to try and win another intermediate championship medal. They've only won 2 intermediate titles in their history, my Davitts, 1996 and 2017. Looking to make it 3 in 2023. As Robert Malloy goes after this, Shane Corcoran blows the whistle for the last time here in Ahamore. Job done. Jimmy Byrne's team go marching in to the county semi-finals. And I think we'll be talking into the week, Cormac Rowland, in particular about the 4 goals that did all the damage and this Moy Davitts attack that continues to deliver when the chips are down.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think the attack is there's so much flexibility in it. There's so many different options up top. They've sent out a statement here today. As I was saying to you there a few minutes ago, I thought this could be a right gut check here this evening. You know, bad evening, wet ball. This is sometimes where forward lines can go awry, and a team like Hollymount can get in amongst you and really make it difficult for you. They landed here today and they dictated terms from early doors and deservedly got the job done and got it done in some style.
Highlights for you, Cormac, from that game. Like at half-time, 10-4. Conditions weren't quite as bad as they turned out to be in the second half. We saw a lot of really good football in that first half, didn't we? No goals, but lots of good play.
There was lots of good play, and I think there was lots of good play from Hollymount's part as well. I liked the combination between Darren Cohen and Dylan Morris. They were trying to be progressive with the ball and they were trying to play forward. Didn't always work, but you know, it was good to watch. The way Hollymount set up was good to watch as well, but I really thought a real facet of the game was the interplay up top of Keane McHale, Brian Heenan, Ronan Clark and Brian Reap. I just thought their decision making, their appreciation of each other, where to be, timing of the runs. I just thought it was really, really good to watch. It was a good game, Mike. Like as you were saying earlier, you know, it looked like it did get away from Hollymount, but like after 10 or 15 minutes into the second half, you're wondering how are they so far behind, because the game didn't really, it didn't really play out like that, you know.
Before I ask you for your man of the match, whoever draws Moy Davitts in the semi-finals, and we'll know tomorrow evening round about 6:10, where do you have to target to have a chance of beating them, do you feel? I mean, Crossmolina came very close in the group stages. They didn't have it all their own way against Kilmaine either. But if you talk about man marking or tagging some of those forwards, there are just so many of them to close down. Am I right in saying you have to try and disrupt the supply lines first and foremost if you're to have a chance of taking on and beating this Moy Davitts
team?
Yeah,
I think personally, Mike, you're going to have to be structured. You're going to have to come with a plan. You're going to have to buy into your plan. You're going to have to track runners. You're going to have to get up in Conor Reid's face, make sure he doesn't have a huge influence around the middle third, and you're going to have to, as Kevin Welch used to say with Galway, put them out into the wide lanes where it's difficult, where the likes of Brian Reap wins a ball out wide and all he can really do is recycle. They're going to have an influence in the game, but I think you're going to have to create a situation where their influence is minimised. Matchups are going to be difficult because, as I said, there's very few forward lines at senior level in the county that have 4 or 5 forwards as natural or as good at scoring as Moy Davitts have. It's going to be tough now to get those matchups. I watched Ballinrobe against Hollymount a few weeks ago. They impressed me hugely as well. They're quite similar teams where they have both very good forward lines and both well able to put up a score. If that matchup manifests itself, that could be a really, really good game to see.
I don't envy you your last job before we hit for home, picking a man of the match from that Moy Davitts performance.
I think at different stages in the game there were different players that popped up with big 10 minutes here and there. I thought the 2 midfielders for Moy Davitts had very good outings. I thought Conor Reid was very, very good. I thought Anthony Jordan, for the 40 minutes he was on the pitch, did well. The forward line I thought were excellent. Keane McHale was excellent in the first half. His kicking was very good. His decision making was excellent. Brian Heenahan was very good all through in terms of he was an honest outlet all day. His decision making was good. He knew when to put pace in the game. He knew when to slow it down. Ronan Clark won 4 kickouts out here in front of us in the second half, but I think the game today, I think you'd agree, Mike, was all about Brian Reap, and it was great to see him back, and it's great to see a forward coming out and scoring 2-4 in a club championship game. I think it heartens everybody. So Brian Reap is my man of the match.
Yeah, no surprise to hear that choice from Cormac Rowland. Another good day at the office for Brian Reap. He's now scored 4 goals in this intermediate championship and shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. That's it from us and our coverage here on Mayo GATV from Ahamore this evening. Our huge thanks to Pauline Flatley and all the officials here at Ahamore for their very wholehearted welcome and the refreshments and the reception, hospitality and all the help we got since we arrived. It is very much appreciated, particularly when the weather takes a turn for the worst like this. Thanks to James Conlon for all his outstanding work on camera duty here this evening, and indeed our thanks as well to Delaney's Hardware for supplying cover and elevation and making sure we didn't get absolutely drenched to the skin. Didn't get out of it in one piece, Cormac, but as good as could be expected.
Yeah, as good as could be expected. I'm delighted. I'm dry enough for the drive home, Mike.
We'll take it. Final scoreline then from the Egan Jewellers County Intermediate Football Championship semi-final. Coverage brought to you by Mayo Credit Unions on Mayo GATV. It has finished Moy Davitts 4-14, Hollymount Carramore 1-10. Moy Davitts march in to the county semi-finals. Carramore 23, that's Conor Gerrity, who a late inclusion in the team. Chance for Moy Davitts, chance for Brian Reap. That's by Moy Davitts, and the counter-attack is now very much on. Cian McHale takes a touch, looks around, McHale backs himself, right hand side. Cian McHale wants it, gets it, lovely dummy, and across today. 45 is taken short. Cian McHale, that's beautiful, it's curling, it's close.
Off the pitch.
Brian Heenahan again, he's the furthest Moy Davitts man forward. Lovely ball in towards Brian Reap, good hands, and Reap shows his...
Darren will kick these all day.
So 3 points from frees for Darren. Moment, they're 2 to the good. Cian McHale, he'll back himself to shoot here. He's extremely accurate. That is some kick and some...
Even though he's playing in the half-back line, he's a very kind of comfortable. He reminds you...
And Heenahan, who was tied up with a family wedding. They're both on the field this evening. They're both playing their part. They're both watching as Enda Maloney
definitely put the foot across him, you know.
Cian McHale with the free to try and turn
the right way.
Yeah, it was teed up in advance as match of the day. It's lived up to its potential. Ronan Clark looking to live up to his and years with Moy Davitts. Reap is so dangerous, even from here. Puts the foot to the floor, cuts in. It's Reap. Away we go. Shane Corcoran gets the second half started, and it is Moy Davitts on the attack. Brian Heenahan races out from the edge of the square to Anthony Jordan, takes the crash ball, drives through the defence. Goal chance. Cathal Clark. Carramore, just a second goal they've conceded in the championship as they try to hit back, and they do. And it's Tom Morris who came in. Ball recycled to the shooter, Cian McHale. The most dangerous of them all. Oh, what a pass to pick out his brother Cullum. One McHale to another. It splits Hollymount Carramore open. Reap is in! And Brian Reap from that cruciate knee injury. He's had a lot of injury problems the last few years, but he is back in business as Declan Fearing. Keegan's Newcastle this season. They have now scored 9 goals and conceded 5 in the championship as
Hollymount are beginning to get a bit of joy off the Moy Davitts kick out.
Nathan Moran it was who broke that ball down. Here's Matthew Morris who hits it with everything.
Moy Davitts are going to have to go to a set piece because they're under serious pressure here, and they've just about won it, and the right man has it to cover a bit of ground. Great ball inside. Oh, what a
Ronan
pass.
Clark, and that is some pass right onto Cian McHale's chest. Takes the mark quickly, looking for Reap in around the back. Oh, Brian! The evening is starting to close in as Reap slips it to the runner. It's Anthony Jordan, the old 1-2. Back to Reap. He's on a hat-trick and still going. He's beat about 5 defenders. Plays the pass. Hollymount Carramore could be in here. It's a half chance. It's blocked.
And that's what championship football is all about. Lovely score.
So a yellow for Brian Heenahan and Cohen when they have the ball in their hands. Cormac, Shane Corcoran consistent out away from the D. That is until Tom Morris takes on the defence. Goes by the referee, gives it to Malloy, goes low, stopped by Chris McGlynn. Instead, Heenahan gives it back out the field to Oisin McHugh. Man of the match for St Joseph's College Foxford in an All-Ireland Schools final way back in 2012. Quick hands to Reap. They're hunting another goal. It's Ronan Clark. And it's a 4.
Bench, so it's good to get as many players as he can out in the field and get game into them.
So
we'll see how he does. It's a very good kick.
Well, considering second half to 6 points for Hollymount, the 4 goals, well, they just really did break this game. Although that points few of the lot, as Darren Cohn faces Chris McGlynn, and Darren Cohn makes it look easy.